Have you ever decided to say yes to yourself and go ahead and launch something you've wanted to launch for a while and you finally do it and it doesn't quite work out? Well, here's the thing. That's happened to me before. I've launched an idea. I've gone out to the market with something that I really felt compelled to offer the market. And at first glance, it didn't quite work out. In fact, some would say that that launch failed. But I want to tell you in this video how to start looking at things that don't go your way so that you don't only see them as failures and you don't see them as losses, but you actually look at them as lessons or opportunities. See what I believe, and we're going to share that in this video. What I believe is that every closed door is a new door open for you that's bigger and better than what you thought. So in this video, we're going to break down one of my recent launches that did not go as planned, but it actually turned out better than I planned. And so we're going to get right into that. If you're brand new to me, my name is Alex Navas. I'm the founder of Fampreneur, where we help entrepreneurs who are family focused build thriving, profitable, fun businesses that don't have them sacrificing their family time. In other words, you can build a business and you can build a thriving family life at the same time. And that's what these videos are all about. And in today's lesson, I'm going to share with you what many people, many entrepreneurs get stumbled by, and that's launching a new offer, a better offer, a higher priced offer, and they launch it and it doesn't quite go as they planned. Now, what do you do when that happens? Well, I'll tell you the wrong things to do first, and then I'm going to tell you the right things, and I'm going to share with you the details of a recent launch that I did, how it failed if I looked at it for in one way, but then where there was the bigger lessons, bigger opportunities in that failure. So when you launch, when you have a new initiative, whether that's a new offer, whether that's a new service, a new product out to the market, the thing you don't want to do is you don't want to reach a conclusion based on the performance of that launch. Meaning you launch, it doesn't work. You just determined, I guess you suck. I guess what you have to offer, nobody values, nobody wants it. Maybe you just make these big kind of exaggerated claims about yourself because a thing that you tried didn't quite work out. That's the wrong way to look at it. In fact, it's probably keeping certain people stuck at a certain level because when you try to break through that level and start trying new things that you've never done before, if you hit that resistance, if you hit that pressure, if you hit the stage where it doesn't quite look like it's panning out, like it's actually working out for you, many retreat. Many will say, I won't try it again. I guess I'll play it safe. But that's definitely the wrong way to look at it. So I'm going to give you a different perspective. And the way that I want you to start looking at failures is failures are a moment, they're not an identity. That's lesson number one. A failure is a moment, not an identity. And here's what I mean. Just because something you tried didn't work doesn't say anything about you, the entrepreneur, you, the person. What it says is that what you tried, maybe the method you tried, maybe the tactics you tried, maybe the audience that you tried it with, maybe that didn't work. But instead of making the failure about you, what I want you to think about is failures are only feedback. So something works, great, feedback. Something doesn't work, excellent, feedback. Now I can do something with that information. Many people are afraid to even try because they don't want to experience that failure. But when you have a good relationship with failure, meaning all failure is feedback, you don't mind going out there trying things to get feedback because that's how we grow. That's how we get better. That's how we improve. That's how we refine. So if you get really good at seeing failure as feedback, then you're not going to cower away from opportunities to get feedback. So that's lesson number one. Number two, don't look at it as a loss. Hey, that launch didn't work. Because the example I'm going to share with you in just a moment, I could have seen it that way. I could have seen it as like, what a loss. It bombed. But instead, I chose to look at losses as lessons. So look at failures as feedback, look at losses as lessons. Now, suddenly, we start looking at failures and losses as something advantageous to us that helps us build up, get stronger, get new experience, get new skill set, refine our process so that we can go ahead, try it again, but with the knowledge, the feedback, and the lessons that we got. So now let me give you the example that happened to me where a launch completely bombed, but it turned out way better than I could have imagined. And here's what that looks like. And there's some lessons I'm going to give you afterwards. So number one is I had this idea and I wanted to show people, I emailed my email list. I wanted to show people or at least check to see if they're interested in watching over my shoulder as I launched a brand new brand, a brand new offer, a brand new business, and get it monetized in 5 days. So to my list, I said, hey, would you like to join this beta group where I'm going to take a group of people into the experience of what it looks like to go start from zero, start a new brand and monetize it in 5 days. Are you interested in that? Well, the way I talked about it, I guess it wasn't that appealing. And so that was, I would say, January. I put that out there, send the second email. Hey, just a reminder, I'm going to build a brand and I want to take some people with me along that journey to see how to launch a brand new brand in 5 days and get it monetized. If you're interested, let me know. I had maybe one or two people respond out of several thousands of people on my list. A couple people responded. I could have seen that and said, I guess no one's interested in that. Maybe this is not a good idea. So what I did is I took that feedback. No input, no feedback from my audience is a form of feedback. It's people aren't interested or don't desire what I'm putting out there, at least in the way that I put it out there. And so, okay, I gave it a break. But I knew I was onto something. I just felt it inside. There's something to this, but maybe that approach wasn't the right one. So I took a 3-week break from that idea. I didn't tell them anything about it, but I still workshopped in the background when the video was off, without my telling my email list, without sharing on social media. I was still working the idea. And I'm like, one day, I think I was driving and I had this idea of a term called micro brand. Build a micro brand in 5 days. How to start, build, and monetize a micro brand in 5 days. Here's the thing that I want you to know. What I was going to deliver with this new offer, the micro brand, was exactly the same as the beta offer that I had given them 3 weeks ago. But they weren't interested in that. But now I have a name to the whole concept. And it's something I've been doing for a while. Like I've built brands in the past. I've built brands in multiple niches and financial services. I've done credit repair. I've done like different markets. I've tried and been successful launching micro brands, but I never gave it a name, that method. So now 3 weeks passes. Remember, 2-3 people might have said like, oh, that sounds cool, but not really a lot of interest. This time I posted on Facebook at the time and I'm like, hey, I'm going to be launching a micro brand in 5 days where I take an idea that doesn't already exist on market. For me, it's not a current business, in other words. I'm going to take one of my ideas, I'm going to execute it and build a micro brand and make money on that micro brand in 5 days. Who wants to learn how to do that? That was a Facebook post. And I had probably over 60 people comment at the time. They're like, I'm interested. And I said, if you're interested, type in micro brand. And all I see is the comments, micro brand, micro brand, micro brand, micro brand. This term didn't exist 3 days before I made that post. But the idea existed 3 weeks prior when I said the beta group, but that wasn't compelling. Suddenly I named it micro brand. It's very compelling. So I'm like, well, people are interested. Let me create something. And so I did. I created a webinar. And in this webinar, I was going to teach people what my thoughts were about a micro brand, how to launch a micro brand. I did the training. Now, here's the thing. Here's another lesson. We don't have to build everything else for it to work, because this was a brand new idea. An offer didn't exist yet. There was no webinar. There was nothing, because it was literally an idea 2 days prior. But I launched it nonetheless. So I launched it. I got 101 people registered to a webinar that wasn't even in my thoughts 4 days ago. So now I have the webinar, and here's what I'm thinking. Again, 3 weeks ago, nobody was interested. Now suddenly I have 101 people registered to the same exact idea, just positioned differently. If I were to have looked at the failure of the feedback I got 3 weeks ago, this wouldn't have happened. And I'm going to continue telling you what transpired from there. But if I would have taken that initial feedback or the loss and counted it as a failure, I wouldn't have gotten this far, because I would have been onto other things. but I was onto something. There was something that I was holding on to. I just had to figure out what was the right tool, what was the right strategy, what was the right positioning of this. And so I did that, right? So from one post, 60 comments, and then somebody else shared that post, and then another person shared that post. Suddenly, I had 101 people registered to the webinar. And now I'm creating this on the fly because it didn't already exist. So then I'm like, well, if people are going to register for this webinar, some people that register are going to have a lot of questions. So I'm going to make a VIP option available to a webinar. Now, if you've been in this online space for a while, you know that challenges usually have a VIP option, but I haven't seen many, if any, times out there where a webinar has an upsell, has a VIP option. So I did that. I'm like, well, register to this webinar. They did. And I'm like, hey, by the way, do you want to have a special Q&A after the webinar? If you have any questions that you want answered specific to launching your own micro brand, that's $97 for the VIP package. So it's free webinar to a $97 paid additional call beyond the webinar, right? So 101 people registered for the webinar, 10 people, actually 11 people got the $97 offer. So now we've already made $1,000 at this point. 11 people paying $97 for this VIP option. We're over $1,000. This was an idea 3 weeks ago that failed. I tried again. I repositioned it. Now we're 3 days into putting out that first Facebook post. We're at $1,000 already. So I'm like, okay, great. People are interested. By the way, and here's my thoughts, and this is what you want to start considering when you want to test different things, is how do I get paid to create? So I asked myself, well, if there's these people getting VIP, I wonder how many would want a one-on-one call with me to help them define what is their core idea for their own micro brand. So let's make another option available. VIP is $97. If you want an additional one-on-one call with me, that's $250. And 4 people took me up on that offer. So 11 people bought $97 VIP. 4 people took the $250. That's another $1,000. Now I made $2,000. When 3 weeks ago, in January, when I did this, 3 weeks ago at that time, 2 or 3 people were like, yeah, sounds okay. But nobody was willing to make any commitment. Now, 3 days into this new version of the same idea, I'm at $2,000. I haven't even done the webinar yet. Fast forward a couple of days, 2-3 days, the webinar happens. Nothing exists because I've never done microbrand as a program. I've done it personally. I've executed on it for my own business, but I've never taught anybody the strategy. So now here I go, and I do the webinar, and I'm like, well, some people are going to want some support over the next 8 weeks to launch their own micro brand. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to make an offer available. I'll train them. And not to mention that I'll train them, I'll also offer some calls in a group format. I'll offer some calls over the next 8 weeks to help them execute, implement, and launch their own micro brand. And because I've never done the training before, at the time, I was like, well, I'm going to sell it for $1,500, but if they buy on the webinar, then I'll reduce it $500, and now it's $997 for 8 weeks of this program. I'm going to train you. I'm going to coach you. I'm going to answer your questions. I'm going to give you tools. I'm going to give you templates and resources, and we're going to be off to the races. You're going to launch your micro brand in the next 8 weeks. So from that, 5 people purchased at $997. 5 people. All of the people that purchased did a $250 call, right? So here's what it looked like. When I first talked about the idea, 3 weeks prior to this, right? 3 weeks, 2 or 3 people said, oh, it sounds interesting. Yeah, let me know. But not really a big desire. That could have been a failure. It could have been a loss. But instead, I said, this is feedback. There's lessons to be learned here. What's the lesson? I'm not positioning this right. When I came back 3 weeks later, this time I positioned it differently because I learned the lessons. Instead of said, this doesn't work, it's a failure. I learned the lessons. I redid it, repackaged it, suddenly in the VIP free webinar, to immediately get a VIP option that you don't have to take, but some people did. 11 people took that. We're at 1,100 approximately. 4 people took the one-on-one call at 250. That's another 1,000. We're at 1,100 or 2,100. Then I have the $997 offer, and that was another 5 people there. So now we're at $7,000 from an idea that could have been a failure. Then I went ahead, months later, I relaunched it to somebody else's audience because I've already created it at this point. That's another $5,000 in somebody else's audience, not even the audience that I had. So here's the moral of the story. If you're launching, if you're trying something new and it hasn't worked, there's always opportunities there. It might not be at the front stage where it may not be getting the feedback that you expect, but there's always opportunities. There's always open doors, even when there seems to be doors closing before you. However, if you see it as complete, that door is closed, there's nothing I can do about it, I've lost it. You didn't learn a lesson. You didn't see the feedback that was presented right in front of you, and you might have shut the door on more possibilities than you know what to do with. I'll give you one other example, and I'm going to show you what that looks like. So let me share my screen really quick, because this is another time I launched a different offer, not micro brand. This was a different offer. This was going to be a $100 workshop called Business on Your Terms. And let me show you what the page looks like. So here we are. This was the sales page. This happened August. So several months ago, as you're watching this video, I did this in August. And I made some changes just so you could kind of see it. But here's the promise. In one session, I'm going to show you how to design a custom built business plan, business model to give you the life you want, right? So here's a sales page. Had it all mapped out. I had all the stuff, right? Here's everything you get. It's only $100. Or you could pay $50 now, $50 later. And then look what I did. I'll take you down. I have this VIP option. Hey, would you like a call? Great. I'll do it for $250. Now, here's what actually happened. 2 people bought this. Out of a list of over several thousands, only 2 people bought this. I was like, man, this is going to be a good one. I'm going to get at least 20, 30, 40 people in this offer. Not exactly. Not exactly. Here's what happened. 2 people purchased this. That's it. So now what I'm going to show you, I'm going to break down how the math worked out for this failure. So hopefully you still follow me. Now let's break this down. Here's what happened. I had this failure, right? So it was a $100 offer. 2 people purchased. Now here's the thing. You see on that page that I had a $250 upsell for a one-on-one call. And that was 200, that was 250. 2 people took that, the same 2 people. So it didn't work. I only got 2 people, and both of them got the one-on-one call. So here's what I did. I was like, this workshop was going to be pretty intense. But if it's only 2, I don't want to do it. So here's what I did. I reached out to these 2 people here, and I said, do you want an extra one-on-one instead of the workshop? Same price. You've already paid for the workshop. Instead of the workshop, would you like another one-on-one? You already got a one-on-one here. How about we do 2 for what you've already invested, $350? Because that's going to save me some time of prepping, building out the workshop, building out the slides and all that stuff. To deliver on this offer, the offer I just showed you here, I'd have to create all these different resources, but only 2 people bought. So instead of actually fulfilling on that, I reached out and I asked both of them, because there was only 2 people that bought. I asked both of them, would you, because of the turnout, we're no longer going to do the workshop. I'm more than happy to give you an additional one-on-one and call it a day, or I can refund you the money. Which one would you prefer? The lesson there is good communication, right? Because this could have failed. 2 people out of thousands, that could be perceived as a failure, but you're going to see why it wasn't. So they both said, yes, I'll do the one-on-one call. Excellent. So we did that, right? So I have two people. Now at this stage, they each paid $350. We're at $700 for a failure. I expected way more than that, but watch how it all worked out. One of these individuals got the two calls, and then she joined my $3,000 program. Right? This is called Fampreneur, the Fampreneur formula. And this is a 6-month program where I help you launch 3 different offers that gives you more freedom, more time, more money in your business, so you can add an additional $10K a month into your business. That's what that offer is. It's a leverage program. $3,000 in 6 months. So she paid $350 and that ended up purchasing an additional $3,000 program. The second person here, same thing. She paid $350. Here's what she did. She got so much value out of the one-on-one call. She said, Alex, can I pay you for one more session? Because I have some things that I want clarity on, and your calls were so helpful. And I told her, well, I don't sell the sessions typically at $250. That was just a promotional first call because of the offer itself. So, but I'll charge you half of what I typically charge for an hour. So hour, I charge $1,000. I gave her half to honor that she's already done this. So she purchased another session. So now we're at $850. In that session, she's like, how can you help me further? And I was like, well, because of where she at the stage of her business, the capacity for growth she has, she opted for my yearly one-on-one coaching program. Well, that program is $50,000. That's what she opted for. So failure, right? This offer here that you're seeing, this here, it only got 2 people. Many people would see that and say, what a failure. I messed up. But now we're looking at the actual numbers, and we're looking at failures as feedback, losses as lessons. Where was the feedback? There's not enough people interested in what I had, but they are interested in what I do. So now when I'm on these calls, I was able to quickly pivot instead of just saying, this didn't work, let me give all the money back, what a loser, what all that stuff. I don't do that. I look for what open doors are available to me now. And so that's where we come up with this. So suddenly this failed promotion now, if you do the math, suddenly it's generated from one client, $3,350 from one person. From the second person, now we're at $51,200. $350 up front, right? It was a $100 offer, $250 for an added call. On that added call, she wanted one more call. That was $500. On the $500 call, she said, can you help me one-on-one for a year? Great, $50,000 offer, right? So working with her, that generated $51,200. If I add the 2 from this failed launch, here's what we end up with. We end up with a total of $54,550 in revenue from 2 buyers on a failed launch. So with the micro brand story that I shared with you earlier, micro brand could have been a failure, but I kept at it. That generated over $7,000 in less than 5 days. From idea to execution, over $7,000. This one, from idea to execution to a number of different calls that happened all within a week and a half, generated $54,000. 2 failed promotions. Now, I've launched other things that have been wildly successful, but I wanted to give you the ones that weren't. Because you've probably launched some things, you've probably released products, you've probably priced your things in a certain way, and it didn't quite work out. But here, what I'm challenging you to do is, when it doesn't work out, where are the opportunities? It's a different way of looking at your business. It's a different way of looking at your finances. It's a different way of looking at your offers. If the offer didn't work, where is the opportunity? What feedback can I glean from? What lessons can I learn to do better? Go back to the lab, rework it, get it back out and create new opportunities, not only for yourself financially, because I'm sharing the numbers here with you. So not only this, right? This was the revenue generated from this failed promotion, right? That's real money. But on the other side of that is, what impact am I having? Because one client I worked with, leveraged way at $3,000 for 6 months. The other one, we're working together for a full year. That's a lot of growth, a lot of impact that can be had in our relationship together over the course of time. But it all started with taking a chance, launching. When it worked, amazing. Celebrate what worked. But when it doesn't work, amazing, because there's new doors being opened. There's new insights to gain. There's refinement to be had that we can use to our advantage as an asset for us to then come back out and offer something very different. So anyway, I want to give you a couple examples of failed launches, failed offers, and how to take those failures and turn them into freedom, turn them into victories, turn them into celebrations, turning them into wins, not only for you, but also for the people you serve. Hope this has been helpful. Hey, listen, you might have seen this video and you like what I'm sharing, and you see, hey, Alex, I have some offers I want to get out there, but I'm kind of reluctant. I'm kind of scared. I don't know if this will work. Well, if that's you, I want to help you. Find me on Instagram, DM me. I'd love to help you. And I have a number of resources and other training that I can make available to help you build your business without sacrificing your family life. Thank you so much. Again, subscribe to this channel and check out the other videos in this channel here. I want to serve you and help you gain all the momentum that you need to build the business you want. See you later.